Good evening, Amos Tarfa here. Just wanted to share briefly about a few items. Thank you again for those who were able to watch my other video and see my other update about South Dakota. In this video, I want to take time to, first of all, say today is Thomas Sowell's birthday, or Sowell. You might be wondering who is Thomas Sowell and how did I know that name? Well, there's something that you might not know about me, and that is that when I was in high school, and I don't know how long this has been, but I've always loved economics. And I also love just studying humans and reality and all of that, right? So my background is chemistry and philosophy was my undergrad. And then, of course, since then, I've studied other things. But Thomas Sowell is an economist who was trained at the University of Chicago. I believe Milton Friedman might have been one of his professors there, or one of his professors along the way. He was trained in Chicago, but he has either been trained or taught at Stanford, Harvard, Columbia, University of Chicago. So he has learned, through the years from several institutions, and he writes about economics and race. He writes about different things, and I have a few of his books that I'm working on right now just to understand more of his perspective. But what is interesting is that last year I made a video about race and ethnicity in America, and I got some feedback, and some people mentioned that it'd be good for me to sort of learn from other people who have written about this topic, and some of the people, there was different feedback from different people. So I decided to continue doing research, which I've done for over a year. But what's interesting is I've actually been doing research in the field of economics and more specifically like how to deal with poverty and how to help people who are in poverty wherever it might be. And I've watched videos and movies. I've watched movies and documentaries about the inner city education programs in America, and I've been literally trying to figure out how we can help children of all backgrounds flourish and thrive and become who they were created to be. So with that in mind, so when I saw Thomas Sowell and I read some of his stuff or heard some of his stuff, I said, well, this guy is pretty neat. I love this stuff. This stuff makes sense. And one of his books is actually called Discrimination and Disparities, where he says, yes, there are differences in certain groups of people. And now the question is, why are there certain differences? Now, I just started the book. I'm going to be finishing it off here in the next couple of weeks, but I'm actually going to be putting a lot of my the lessons I learned from that book on my YouTube channel. So please, if you haven't subscribed, my YouTube channel is Amos Tarfa 1. I'm going to start putting videos regularly just to encourage people to thrive, to flourish, to learn from different aspects of, for example, my South Dakota story, to take a story like that and put applications. Those are some of the things that I will be doing on my YouTube channel, just helping with applications and helping us to grow in discernment in the times that we live in. So yeah, as I said, one of his books is Discrimination and Disparities. There's a biography that just came out by Jason Riley called Maverick. This guy is an interesting guy for several reasons. And one of the reasons is because he basically shows what can be done, right? For no other, there's all these other reasons why it might be interesting. But one of the things that is interesting is, well, he's 91 today. But what's interesting is that he came from the 30s, right? With everything going on in America, with all the challenges you could face. And he made it all through the system, got his PhD, now is a senior fellow at Stanford University, the Hoover Institute. And it just tells us that we need to seek in our own lives, right? And this is especially speaking to young people. We need to look at our lives and say, you know what? I'm going to give my best in what I have before me. I'm going to use all the resources I've been blessed with and seek to give the best that I can in my schoolwork, in my job, and give all that you can. And don't worry about external forces or external factors in any society you live in. I'm speaking to people all over across the world. So what I mean by that is that I have, of course, students or friends who are in Nigeria. So what I mean is I'm speaking to people in another country, right? In Nigeria, for example, and we need to apply ourselves to give our best. Now, unfortunately, growing up in Nigeria, I know that there are people who have told me, and I know too, the experiences of some of the challenges we face, which are unique and different, right, from some of the challenges you might face in America or England. But whatever the case, you just give your best, serve your neighbor, love your neighbor, do your best wherever you are, and you leave the rest to God. You do your best and you leave the rest to God. And that's something we have to keep in mind. But don't allow anyone to tell you not to try. Don't ever let anyone tell you that. Because one of the reasons why I'm actually getting my PhD by God's grace is that I want to start universities. I want to do what Booker T. Washington did. But the difference is that I also want my students that are in my university to be from all backgrounds, number one. But number two, to be from whether those who want to go into the trades or those who want to go through the traditional 4-year plan. We want them all to be learning together in some, some content. So, for example, American history. Everybody can learn American history in our classrooms, right? So it doesn't matter what path they're going on. I really want to encourage people to become lifelong learners. So what I'm getting at is one of my goals, by God's grace, is again to start a university, and that's where this journey is. Start, with this PhD and with all this ahead. That's the goal, so that we can inspire more young people to flourish, to find their gifts and talents, and to apply themselves to be the best they can be in what they've been wired to do. So again, I know it's interesting. Some of you might not know that I love economics, but I actually brought out a few other books that I'm going to be working on over the next few years. This one is The Wealth of Nations from Adam Smith, who's like the father of, we talk about economics, one of the fathers of economics here, which is interesting. It's a long book, but it's worth the read, I hear. So I'm going to try it out. And then, of course, Booker T. Washington's book here, which is pretty cool. I have this random book over here, too, Tocqueville in America. And sorry, I didn't pronounce his name well the first time. But anyways, this book I call it, you just put it on your shelf to intimidate people, because who's really going to read this book, right? It's just a little too long. So anyways, I'm kidding. I'm going to actually read it when I retire. But the point is, if you haven't taken time to make a reading plan for the month of July, well, today is the 30th of June. I want to encourage you to make a plan. What books are you going to be reading in the month of July? And how are you going to grow? And how are you going to encourage others to grow and to flourish? We need to take responsibility in our lives and do the best we can with what we've been given. Everybody has been given something. Let us use what we've been given, and let us love our neighbors. Let us serve our neighbors. And again, I just wanted to briefly share about, Thomas Sowell, how I came to learn about some of his writings, and then just my goals and vision for the future in starting schools to inspire students to pursue excellence. The other topic here, the lumping theory, that will be on my channel. I'll explain it more. It's a theory that I came up with a few years ago that basically teaches us, and if you don't mind, I'll just say this before you run. It teaches two things. Number one, that we should be careful not to take one idea that a person believes and use it to judge many other ideas that we think that they have to believe because they believe the one idea, even if the one idea they believe does not dictate that they have to, right? So if somebody says that, they believe in the minimum wage, for example, right? Which I'm not saying I do. I'm saying, as far as the minimum wage being $20 an hour, for example, I'm not saying I believe that, okay? But let's say someone says they want the minimum wage at $20 an hour, that belief they have should not then be taken back to say, so are you in support of this other thing and that other thing? No, you need to ask them, so what do you mean about a $20 minimum wage, and how do you think we can make, how will that work without prices rising, and all of those kinds of things. So notice the lumping theory is saying when somebody gives you one thing they say they believe, don't use that one thing to say that you know everything else about what they say they believe. Try and see, okay, what do you mean by that? And this is only with key issues, of course. I mean, there's so much that we can learn about people. We can't sit around asking them 1,000 questions. But so when someone says they believe something, let's take that issue. Let's take the issues one at a time and try to examine the issues. I think that will be good for people to keep in mind. So anyways, those are some of my thoughts right now, and I hope to share more about life economics on my YouTube channel. But thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you later. Have a wonderful day.